Hey guys, how you doing? Welcome to another episode of Teed Up. I'm David.
I'm Justin.
As always, we appreciate you tuning in. Hope everyone's doing well. Justin just had a birthday.
Yes, I did.
Big man's 19 today. Yesterday, actually.
Yep.
Happy birthday, Justin.
Thank you.
Go show him some love on Instagram. DM him.
Yes.
Slide right into his DMs. What'd you do for your birthday?
Not much, You're quarantined, so there's not much you can do here. I mean, I went over to the range, hit a couple golf balls, and then had a couple family members over, celebrate a little bit, but not much you could do, socially distancing party, I guess you could call it.
Yeah, same here. My birthday's on Saturday.
Yeah, your birthday's coming up.
Yeah, it's on Saturday, but I really don't want to celebrate it because
there's no
right, you can't do anything.
There's it's fun. It didn't even feel like my birthday, if I'm being honest. There was nothing you could do.
Yeah, that's what I've been doing. I look at mine's on the 30th, and I look at the date, and I see today's the 28th, the day that we're recording this, and I'm thinking oh yeah, my birthday's in 2 days, but I can't do anything. So it's kind of
you don't have that feeling. It's not the same feeling.
It's not the same. Yeah, it's not it's not the same high type of hype that you get,
because you get excited. You're oh yeah, my birthday is this week and stuff, and then this time it's there's nothing to get excited for because you're not doing anything. It's the same thing you're doing any other day.
Right. Well, that's
home.
That's the same thing with Memorial Day. This year I was all right, it's Memorial Day, and the weather sucked. I don't know how. I mean, I hear it sucked. I don't know if it sucked anywhere else. Probably not in Florida, but it sucked here definitely.
Yeah.
Speaking of Florida, we're getting closer and closer to the return of the NBA, and it looks like the NBA is going to be playing at Disney World. That seems to be the expected place that they're going to play.
It's the latest news.
Yeah, it's that whole quarantine bubble. I personally think it's a great idea, especially because Disney probably isn't going to have anybody back for a couple months at least. I personally like it. We went over this. We went over a couple episodes ago, maybe even our first episode, about where the NBA should return. We said MGM Resorts in Vegas was in talks with the league, but it seems like Disney World is the front runner. So I personally like it because I think there's a lot less distractions. I mean, obviously you're not going to have Mickey Mouse running around, but with MGM, players are going to get distracted with the casinos and stuff like that. So I like the move. Justin, what do you think about it?
Yeah, I like it. I mean, I think it's the only way we can get basketball back. So if any way we can get basketball back, I'll be happy with. So as long as we get basketball and I can watch it, I will be happy. I mean, Texas announced, I saw today, that the state of Texas, the governor's allowing up to 25%, I think it is, capacity in the stadium. So, I mean, there's a start to allowing fans back. So certainly I won't be able to go to any basketball games, but at least I'll be able to watch. So I'm excited for that.
Yeah, literally any court that you can put the players on, do it. If you want to use My Hoop outside, go ahead. Dude, do it. No charge, whatever. Use it. I just want basketball back. I want sports back. I need it. I've been it's just terrible. I've watched literally every NBA game.
Yep. Missing basketball right now.
I am missing it hard.
Yep. We should be Eastern Western Conference Finals right now.
Yeah, we should be at the conference finals right now. No, not even the finals. The finals are coming up in a week.
It should be the Game 6, Game 7 Eastern Conference Final probably.
Exactly.
Yeah, it should be about there right now. So
Damn.
We don't have that. So it's a bummer.
Damn, this is unbelievable. We want to let us know, on social media, comment on it on our Instagram, comment on YouTube. What do you miss most about the NBA? Me personally, it's just honestly, I miss the playoffs. I was so looking forward to the playoffs. You got LeBron back. You got the Sixers are in there again. I was really looking forward to this playoff series. OKC, I was a huge fan of them this season. Watching them be the underdogs that they are. Chris Paul leading that team to a playoff push when they were projected to make at least the 8th seed, or most of the 8th seed rather. So I'm pretty excited about that. Or I was excited, but now I'm not going to be able to watch it. So Next topic that we were going to get into is start bench cut. This is one that we did a couple weeks ago. We did it with Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, John Morant, and
De'Aaron Fox.
De'Aaron Fox.
Mm-hmm.
Completely disagreed on that. I think it's fair to say. Go watch that episode
Mm-hmm.
if you haven't already. We got 3 new players, and we usually do this with young talent. Talent that still needs to prove themselves, but is already showing. There's a light at the end of the tunnel. If sort of
Mm-hmm.
like for example, like John Morant is having a tremendous rookie year. I think he's the pick for the rookie of the year if the Grizzlies make the playoffs. But who's to say what happens in his second year? Who's to say what happens in his third year? So yeah, we'd like to do this with young talent. And 3 players that we have today for our start bench cut game is Ben Simmons of the Philadelphia 76ers, Jason Tatum of the Boston Celtics, and Donovan Mitchell of the Utah Jazz. So Justin, I'm curious, who would you start, who would you bench, and who would you cut out of those 3?
Okay, so this is tough. I mean, there's one obvious decision for me, and that's you got to cut Donovan Mitchell. When you look at it, Donovan Mitchell, good player, solid player, but in my opinion, he's nothing special compared to what Ben Simmons and Jason Tatum are. I mean, he came onto the scene here his rookie year, fantastic, put up good numbers, but since then, he really hasn't improved his game at all. He's up 0.4 points per game. He's shooting basically the same. He has 0.3 more rebounds. His assists are the same, and his defensive production's dropped. Where guys like Ben Simmons, their defensive production skyrocketed while improving their offensive numbers as well.
Mm-hmm.
So I think, and Jason Tatum's the exact same way. So I think when you look at it, Donovan Mitchell is the obvious cut here. And then when you look at Jason Tatum and Ben Simmons for who you're benching and who you're starting, it's tough because I really like Ben Simmons. Now there's a little bias because I am a Sixers fan. I think he brings more to the table than Tatum does. But right now, Tatum is the better player, so I have to start Jason Tatum. I think if Ben Simmons can develop I think he personally already has a decent jump shot, and he just needs to shoot it more. But if he starts shooting that jump shot, I think he will be better than Tatum. But currently, I have to give it to Jason Tatum. I mean, he is the best player on that Celtics team, and they're a very good team. So I really like Jason Tatum's game. I would have to start him and bench Ben Simmons.
Mm-hmm. This is one of like the rare occasions where we actually agree on a topic. Yeah. I completely agree. I think, this year I would start Jason Tatum and bench Ben Simmons and obviously cut Donovan Mitchell.
Mm-hmm.
Donovan Mitchell is not showing any signs of improvement. He's kind of hit a bump in the road and he hasn't fixed that bump. But, I think once Ben Simmons isn't scared to shoot the 3 ball, I think he has the potential to be a top 10 player in the league. Not just a top 10 point guard, not just a top 5 point guard, but I mean, I'm talking like a top 7 player in the league once he gets a decent jump shot where he shoots at least, 40%, around like 42%, like we're not like, not even that, like 36%. Like if he shot that from 3, that's all Sixers fans would ask for. And then people would finally get off his back on social media. So, but this year, I do think Jason Tatum, has had a tremendous year. Ben Simmons hasn't really improved on offense, really. I mean, he's improved on defense spectacularly. But, Jason Tatum just brings both to the table as far as improvement. So I'm going to have to start Jason Tatum and bench Ben Simmons for those reasons.
Simmons did make a little leap there in his – I wouldn't say his scoring. His scoring is pretty much the same, but I would say he's shooting a little more efficiently from the field at least. I mean, he's still not taking jump shots. But he has improved his playmaking. His handles has definitely improved. He may not be improving on the stat line, but he's certainly improved his game all around.
Yeah, that's
from like me observing him. He's clearly improved his game because I watch most of the games, but like I don't watch all the Donovan Mitchell games. I don't watch all Jason Tatum's games. So like obviously there's a little bias here. I see a lot more Ben Simmons, but he has certainly improved his game. It may not look like it because his points are about the same, but he definitely has improved his game.
Right. And you said that you don't watch a lot of Donovan Mitchell games. I don't want to like be braggadocious, but like I do watch a decent amount of I try to watch a decent amount of every team, and I try very hard at that. I watch Donovan Mitchell and I really don't see any improvement.
Yeah.
I don't see
me too.
I don't see any improvement in the box score. I don't see any improvement on the stat sheet. I don't see any improvement just watching him. With Jason Tatum, I think he's a stud, and I think and I'm still upset that we drafted Markelle Fultz over Jason Tatum. A couple of years ago.
At the time, Markelle Fultz was the better player.
At the time, it was a good idea, but thinking back, like I probably wake up every morning and say, "Damn, we could have had Jason Tatum."
I mean, Jason Tatum has made a considerable leap compared to what he was playing at last year. I mean, he averaged only 15 points last year. He's averaging almost 24 points now, and his shooting percentage from three has gone up. He's
Right.
getting more boards. He's getting more assists. He's better on the defensive end. Every single stat he's improved in. So, I mean, that's just good. I mean, he is improving. I think when he lost Kyrie and gained Kemba, that really helped him. I think Kyrie was kind of a cancer to that team. And getting a guy like Kemba who is not so ball dominant and can lay off the ball and let Tatum do some work,
Right.
I think that's really helped him grow.
No, I completely agree. I think Kemba Walker is a much better addition to that Celtics team than Kyrie Irving. I really didn't think Kyrie Irving was going to work out. I really don't think he's going to work out in Brooklyn, but that's a whole other discussion. We kind of want to, so yeah, we pretty much agree on that, which is a rare occasion. Let us know what you think. Who would you start? Who would you bench? Who would you cut? We want to know your thoughts. Comment on Instagram. Comment on YouTube. Let us know. Let us know. DM us. We want to hear your feedback. We want to know your thoughts. So we kind of wanted to go back to this league returning, and we wanted to talk about some of the playoff seeding. But before we get into that, I wanted to give a quick shout out to B-Ball Empire. B-Ball Empire is an amazing brand for basketball attire. They have shirts, hoodies, phone cases, hats. They have amazing stuff that you can wear on and off the court. I would highly recommend go checking them out. We'll put the link in the description to their website. And we also have a discount code at checkout. If you use the code TEEDUP30, you get 30% off your order at checkout. That is TDUP30 at checkout. So definitely go check them out. But we wanted to talk about this new seeding that has been kind of getting pretty viral. I don't think it's confirmed, right? It's not like a confirmed seeding.
No, nothing's confirmed about it yet, but
yeah. We really don't know. No, we're not getting any stern answers on the league coming back. We're not nobody's telling us for sure 100% this is what's going to happen.
Because everything that's been proposed, there's opposites to it. Because you get the 16-team playoff bracket here, which we'll talk about. Some teams don't like that. Some teams rather have it be straight up 1 through 8 in the West, 1 through 8 in the East. So you got people opposing it, people agreeing. They're just trying to hash it out, see what works. I mean, some teams, a team that would get in, I don't know how this would work exactly, but some teams, I know teams we'll put it this way, ESPN and all these programs, they definitely want a guy like Zion getting in. So I think the NBA is trying to get teams like the Pelicans, maybe get the Trailblazers. They're going to try and find a way to get teams like that in. So I think they're trying to work out that, and however the best way for that, however that would be, I think that's how the NBA will choose to return.
Yeah, and the NBA is one of the most capitalist leagues in sports, if not the most capitalist sports. They love
all the leagues
money.
But
they love money.
Yeah.
But I don't. But yeah, all the leagues are. But I don't think any league loves money more than the NBA. I might be biased because the NBA is my favorite league. But when I watch other sports and I see these fines and these merchandise deals and things like that, NBA is always on top. The NBA never wants to suspend a player; they always just want to fine him. So that's what I see. So having the big names, your Zion Williamson, wouldn't that be amazing? Zion was the face of the at the beginning of the season, he was one of the biggest talking points. So having him in the playoffs would make a lot of money for the league. But that's a whole nother discussion about the league being money hungry. So we saw on ESPN this possibility of a 1 through 16 bracket, and it's based on standings, based on how the records are for the league. It's 1 through 16. So the one that ESPN, and we'll put a picture up for those of you on YouTube, but I'll read it out for you on here if you're listening on Spotify. So the first round, you would have the Bucks versus the Magic. The Bucks would be the first seed, and the Magic would be the 16th seed. You would have the Heat and the Thunder with the 8th and 9th seed. You would have the Celtics and Sixers with the 5 and 12 seed. The Clippers and Mavs with the 4 and 13 seed. For the other side of the bracket, you would have the Lakers and the Nets. That's the 2 and 15 seed. The Jazz and the Rockets with the 7 and 10 seed. The Nuggets and the Pacers for the 6 and 11 seed, and the Raptors and Grizzlies for the 3 and 14 seed. Justin, I want to know, what do you think about this whole new bracket, this whole new idea that I guess pretty much everyone is proposing, or a decent amount of people are proposing?
I don't like it. I mean, I think you started the season as 1 through 8 in the West, 1 through 8 in the East, and you guaranteed them that they'd make it. Now, I don't know, are they saying that 1 through 8 in the East and 1 through 8 on the West are like in this pool? They'll be in this pool and then they get seeded by that? Like, how do you clinch here? Like, is the 16th seed the actual 16th team with the worst record, or is it the worst record out of the top 8 in the West and top 8 in the East? I'm kind of still not all the details out, so I'm not confused. I'm not set on stone on what's happening yet. If it is the case where you just take the top 8 in the East and top 8 in the West, and then you sort it out and get your 1 through 16, I like that. But if you're just taking the top 16 teams record wise through there, I do not like that, because you're setting it's a bad thing to have, because they're changing it. You guaranteed these teams, if they had a top 8 record in the East or top 8 in the West, they would have a playoff spot, and now you're going and changing it. You'd have to have some sort of play-in. You have to have if they do this, they need a play-in situation, in my opinion, where you can have a chance to earn your way in. If
Like
they're doing top 16.
March Madness.
Yeah, like these teams that are borderline. If they do top 16 in the league and you're the 17th or 18th team, I think you should have a chance to be playing for that still, because they just ended the season abruptly. Just like the NHL. I don't know if you've seen the NHL. They're doing this 2014 playoff thing. They are having these teams that were borderline. That's why they expanded to 24. They expanded it because you have these teams that were borderline getting in. They were still fighting for a spot, and they're letting them have their chance to get in. So I think you need something like that with this 1 through 16 option.
Yeah, I did see the NHL. By the way, Flyers made the playoffs and they get a bye. Go Flyers! I don't know if you can see Bernie Parent back there, best goalie in Flyers history. But I personally, looking at the just the teams that are in this, I actually think it's a really good bracket. You have the Lakers and the Nets. Let's say when you come back from this break, KD and Kyrie are healthy. You get.
I don't think KD would play, but Kyrie would play.
But yeah, that would still be an interesting thing to watch. You to have LeBron versus Kyrie, two completely different teams playing it out, and I think that would be an interesting series. You have the Clippers and the Mavericks. That's another great. Kristaps Porzingis versus Luka Doncic, Kristaps Porzingis versus Kawhi, Paul George, and that whole team in LA. So me personally, just looking at these teams, I like it. I don't know all about the play in, play out thing that March Madness does. I mean, I know how it works, but from looking at this, I think it's a pretty balanced bracket, and I think this could work if you have them matched up from 1 to 16, and then those teams get into the playoffs.
Yeah, I certainly don't disagree with that. I mean, I think it can work. I'm just not. I need more details to figure out if I'm gonna like it or not. I certainly, as a Sixers fan, I certainly don't like it. It makes our path to the playoffs a lot harder. I mean, we beat the Celtics, then we'd have to play the Clippers, then the Bucks, and I think I don't like that as a Sixers fan. I'd rather play the Raptors than the Bucks, but I mean, that's just me being a Sixers fan. I don't like it that from that perspective either. But as a basketball fan, I think change is always good, so I'm not opposed. It can be good at least, and I'm not opposed to change. So I don't. It's something that I would be accepting of.
Well, the thing is about the NBA, I think not only, as I said, that they're the most capitalist league in sports, I think they're also the most liberal in as far as like changing rules and changing, different regulations and things like that. So I could definitely see the NBA adopting this whole new bracket. And honestly, pretty much what I would do if I were the commissioner. People have been asking about a 1 through 16 bracket where you mix up the conferences. People have been asking for that for years. So what I would do is I would say, okay, let's try it. Let's see how it goes. Let's see how people react. And if people don't like it, we'll get rid of it. We'll go back to East versus West. We'll do 1 through 8. But if people do like it, let's keep it and see how it goes.
It will tarnish whoever the champion is. Whoever wins will be like, oh, well, it was East versus West that year. The championship doesn't really count. It'll be stuff like that. There's always gonna be people that hate everything.
Yeah, but I mean, you get haters.
You can't please everyone. You get haters for everything, so it's tough. I mean, people hate the bracket now, so they want change. But I know there's plenty of people that love the current style, so it's a tough way to find a balance in the middle here.
I mean, yeah, you're going to have people that hate it, and you're going to have people who say, well, the ring didn't count because you didn't do the 1 through 16. Well, there's people that say that KD's rings in Golden State don't count just because he was on a super team.
Yeah,
That's
but
such a terrible excuse. You're just salty because he quote unquote ruined the league. That's just blasphemous. So like I said, I would play it out, play it by ear, see how it goes, and if it goes well, it goes well, and we'll keep it.
yeah, I mean, I'm not opposed to it. I need more details first. I'm not sold on it. I need more information. I mean, I think they're meeting again next. I believe it's early. I think it's Monday or Tuesday next week
I
on
believe so.
a virtual.
Sometime next week.
I think it's Monday or Tuesday on a virtual call next week. So we'll see.
Yeah. But, this is just a what if. This is a whole thing that was just not adopted, but like it was just thought of by ESPN, by some other people. And, people have, like I said, people have been thinking about this for years, talking about this for years. We want to know what you think. Do you like the 1 through 16 or do you like how it is right now? We want to know what your thoughts, like we said, comment, DM us, let us know what you think. The next topic that we wanted to get into, kind of wrapping up the season, we wanted to talk about the playoffs, continuing with that. We wanted to talk about what team is overrated, what team will not exceed their expectations, what team will not even meet their expectations. So, Justin, I have a question for you. What is the most overrated NBA team and why?
Right now, it has to be the Utah Jazz. I mean, they may not be, in my eyes, they're at least overrated because if you look at that bracket that we're talking about, they'd be the 7th seeds. They'd be in the top half. They'd be playing a 10 seed. And honestly, in that matchup, they'd get swept by the Rockets. I mean, they're going to be missing Joe Ingles. Joe Ingles says he refuses to play, and he is a very good shooter and very good player. You have Bogdanovic, who is not playing because he just had surgery and is out. And you still have the bad chemistry between Gobert and Mitchell. I mean, who knows how they're going to play.
They squashed that beef, though.
They said they did. Of course they're going to say they did. You don't actually know how they're going to react. I really don't like that. I wouldn't be surprised whoever they're playing if they get swept because I just do not like that team. I mean, Mike Conley is a good player, so it would give him more time to shine. But again, we've seen Mitchell hasn't improved his game at all. Who knows how he'll play with Gobert? There could be issues there. You never know. It's a tough situation, especially coming back like this. I mean, teams were in a groove. Teams have been out of sync now, so it's like you don't know what's going to happen here. And I think if I had to place a bet on a team, like I would go nowhere near the Jazz. I think they're so overrated. I mean, they'd be a 7 seed. There is no way without Ingles, Bogdanovic, and what they've gone through. There's no way they should be a 7 seed, at least entering it, based on their roster they'll be entering with, at least.
I don't know. I think they'll make at least they'll be a second round exit. I mean, you're still forgetting about Mike.
There's no way they'd win.
But
you're telling me a team that's missing they'd be playing the Rockets in the first round. I know you don't like the Rockets, but they'd be playing the Rockets in the first round without Bogdanovic and without Ingles. That's arguably been their second and third best player this season.
But it has nothing to do with my personal vendetta against the Houston Rockets. I know I hate the Rockets.
I know, but I'm saying if you're looking at the Rockets roster versus the Jazz when they come into there and the Jazz were the favorites, you're going to tell me
the Jazz will win.
You think they would win without Ingles?
I think they would win, but yeah, I think they would, and I'll tell you why. Obviously the Rockets have, since Ingles and Bogdanovic are out, obviously the Rockets have better depth, but the thing is, they still have that amazing backcourt of Mike Conley and Donovan Mitchell. They still have Rudy Gobert out there, which I know you think that the beef is going to affect them on the court. It won't. They won't. No. They're professionals. They might have a beef off the court, but at the end of the day, they're going to be on the court and they're going to say, "Hey, we're teammates. We have to sort this out and we have to work together." Most players are professional enough to cooperate on the court with each other and get along on the court. Off the court is a whole different story. The big three in Chicago in the '90s with MJ, Scotty, and Rodman. They never even talked to each other.
Yeah, that's totally different. These were guys that were at least friends in the battle. You don't know how they're going to play when they come back.
But
you don't know. There's risk here. You don't know that. So I'm thinking if somebody assumes they just fixed it, you can't assume they just fixed it. You got to go in thinking they didn't fix it.
I don't know if they fixed it or not. But I'm saying that I think that they'll be professional enough to say, hey, obviously we have our beef off the court. But on the court, we have a job to do. We're in the playoffs, and we got to work together. And we're one of the best duos in the NBA. But we
one of
have
the
to
best
work
duos in the NBA.
Mitchell and Gobert, of course.
And they're both too young. Donovan Mitchell's only 23 years old. Do you think he's mature enough to be like that? Personally, I don't think he's mature enough. I
Yeah,
mean,
but he has Mike Conley to mentor him.
yeah, sure, but that doesn't mean that makes him more mature right then in the situation here. He clearly doesn't like the guy after what he did, so clearly there's some rift in between them. I just don't think he's mature, and I love Donovan Mitchell. I don't think he's a bad player, but I just don't think he's mature enough. When you're looking at a 23-year-old, it's tough in that situation for a 20. Like if he was 30 years old and had experience and was in the playoffs a lot before this and knew what he had to do, that's a whole nother situation. But
it's his third year.
I
I
don't
mean, it
know.
is his third year, and he does have playoff experience.
He does, but not a lot of playoff experience. He's not a seasoned vet or anything we're talking about here. I mean, you're losing a guy that in Joe Ingles that was consistent coming off the bench gave you like solid 10, 12 points, gave you a couple assists, couple boards, and you're losing your second best scorer in Bogdanovic. He was scoring over 20 points a game, 45 from the floor, shooting 42% from the field. You're losing that. That is huge numbers right there in those two guys that you're missing. And you're going to expect some guys that weren't playing at all to step up in the playoffs? No way that happens. I honestly don't think they'd win a game against. I think they may win a game against the Rockets in Utah because Utah's a very tough place to play. But outside of that, I don't think they'd win more than a game. They'd win a game at best.
But here's the reason why I think the Jazz will win. Because my pick for the most overrated team is the Rockets. And it has nothing to do with my personal vendetta. Maybe it does. Who knows? Maybe it is biased.
It does.
Who cares? I think the Rockets are super overrated. You saw them crumble throughout the year. They were a top 5. They were in the top 4 at the beginning of the season. Then you get rid of your starting center. And then you drop down to 6 and you start struggling. You start losing to teams by 20 points. I think it's ridiculous.
Okay, but who do they have to defend on the Utah Jazz? Who do they have to defend that's big? Rudy Gobert? They're going to let Rudy Gobert score 40 points on them?
I'm saying Rudy Gobert is going to back them down because they don't have a real big man.
But he can't. All you have to do is but when he's trying to back down, you go in and poke the ball. He can't dribble. He's not going to be allowed to get inside. They've had this for a lockdown.
Okay, so if Gobert's getting pressure from like Robert Covington, for example, pass it out to Mike Conley.
He's not their center. Their center is PJ Tucker.
Whatever. They're both not actual centers, but they play the 5 for whatever reason.
He's 6'9".
So you pass it out. 6'9" is very undersized for a center. Come on, don't give me that.
I'm not saying it's good enough, but he's not that small.
Yeah, but it's undersized to play the 5.
He's 4 inches. And he weighs a good amount. He's a big boy.
What I was saying is, Gobert has Donovan Mitchell he can pass out to, or he's got Mike Conley to pass out to for the 3. So they'll be good. And James Harden sucks. And James Harden sucks on the perimeter defense. So obviously Donovan Mitchell's going to knock it down.
He doesn't suck on his perimeter defense. He's actually improved. Him and Russell Westbrook have actually improved their defense. So they are much better defensively now. And I mean, when you look at the numbers,
what about playing Jokic? What about playing Jokic? He's going to have to play Denver. Maybe he has to play the Denver Nuggets. Who's going to stop Jokic? He's the second best.
Okay, but you just said he's not even getting out of the first round. They will easily get out of the first round.
I'm saying let's say they beat the Jazz. Well, what if they have to play the Nuggets? What if Jokic has to get?
And that's a different situation. Then I could see them.
They're going to be screwed if they have to match up against Jokic.
How does that make them overrated? The Nuggets are ranked higher than them.
Because everyone's saying that they're everyone's saying that they're a big powerhouse in the West. I disagree.
Nobody's saying that
because they're going to fall apart. Russell Westbrook is a stat pattern. Russell Westbrook needs the ball in his hands. James Harden needs the ball in his hands, and he's a stat pattern. And they're just not going to. It's not going to work
anymore. You're going to tell me the 6th seed in the West is overrated? They're not in the top half. How can you say they're overrated? So if they lose in the first round, they're supposed to lose in the first round.
But they weren't supposed to be there.
But exactly. So they underperformed. So how are they now overrated if they underperform? They're not going to play any worse.
Well, you have them beating the Jazz.
Personally, I do because that's an upset. But that doesn't mean they're an underdog here in the situation, which is why I think the Jazz are overrated. See, I'm saying a good team is overrated. You're saying a bad team is going to lose, which that doesn't make them overrated. That just makes them a bad team.
But nobody thinks that they're a bad team.
Yeah, but you're an overrated team. Supposed to be a top
they have
team
James Harden and Russell Westbrook.
They're not supposed to win. Yeah, they are a good team, but they're not.
Everyone's going to expect the Rockets to make a nice playoff run.
Based on the ranking, though, they're not that high, so they wouldn't be considered overrated in that situation. In that situation you're giving me, they're not overrated.
I personally think that they're super overrated. I don't think they're going to go anywhere in the playoffs. I think they're first round
Compared to
exit.
the 4 seed that's missing their second and third best. Well, I'd say he's probably second and fifth best player in my opinion. I think Ingles would be their fifth best player, but
And Bogdanovich is the second.
easily.
You ever heard of that
points per
Mike?
game.
You ever heard of that Mike Conley guy?
Have you watched the Utah Jazz this year?
I watched a little bit. I've watched the Jazz.
Do you know what Mike Conley's stats are this season? Would you like to know?
Not off the top of my head.
13 points per game. 13 points per game. 4 assists. 13 and 4. You think that's impressive?
That's all right.
He's
it's averaging good for a starting point guard.
Bogdanovich is averaging the same amount of assists, 7 more points per game, while contributing just the same as in every other category.
Because Mike Conley is
the second best player.
Because Mike Conley is not a scorer. He's a pass first point guard. He's a playmaker.
Is that why he averaged the past 3 years 20, 17, and 21? 15, 17. He is a scorer.
He was on the Grizzlies. He was on the Grizzlies. I mean, like, come on.
Because he's
now
you
have Mitchell. Now you have Mitchell and Gobert. You have to give touches, and Bogdanovich
so
and Joe
putting
Ingles.
up empty stats. So he wasn't that good to begin with, is what you're saying now.
No, but I mean, he was good, but he wasn't like amazing.
I don't think he would not be their second best player.
You're nitpicking.
You're
nitpicking. You're
taking Bogdanovich is better than him. He's just a better player. He's putting up better stats.
Let the people decide.
He would be okay.
Let the people decide who's better who's the second best player on the Jazz. Obviously, we know it's Donovan Mitchell, but who's better? Mike Conley.
Mitchell is one certainly. I mean, he's clearly the best player.
No, but wait, you don't even have Gobert at 2? I would put Gobert at 2 and then Conley at 3, maybe, and then Bogdanovich at 4. You wouldn't have Gobert at 2?
I think at least statistically he's not. He probably provides more on the defensive end and rebounding, but offensively he is not.
I'm not getting like that offended or heated about this because I could care less about the Jazz.
But, hey, there's a lot of Jazz fans out there.
Wait, what? Do you know how many people live in Utah? Like 3.
They have a good fan base, actually. You'd be surprised. They have a good fan base.
I don't mean to offend any Jazz fans, but like, dude, I think the only Jazz fans are Utah, and Utah only has like three or 4 people living in that entire state. So I don't know. Well, let us know what you guys think. Who's the second best player on the Jazz? Obviously, number 1 is Donovan Mitchell. There's really no debate there. But who's the second best? Let us know. Comment, DM us. Let us know. Next thing we wanted to get into is pretty much throughout our next couple of episodes, we're going to go through each position and who we think is the best at each position. So we're going to start with point guards. Next episode will be shooting guards, small forwards, power forward, center. That's how it'll go. So we're going to start with point guards today. Justin, I want to know who are your top 5 point guards in the league today?
All right. So to start, maybe a little bit of surprise here at 5. I'm going with Trae Young. Now, he has put a very good number. He's had a very productive year. I mean, he's good. He's a good player. I like him. He's improved. He went from 19 points per game to 29 and a half, basically 30 points per game. He's shooting well, 43% from the field. He's putting up rebounds, got 4.5 rebounds, almost 10 assists. He's got 9.3 assists. He's improved his defense, got more steals. I mean, he's a good player. I really like what he's done in Atlanta. I really like the Hawks this year, and then the John Collins thing really hurt them. I think next year adding back Clint Capella and getting a full year of John Collins, assuming he stays healthy, will be good for that team. You get Kevin Huerter? I think that's how you pronounce his name there. And you get
something like that.
And what's the guy from Cam Reddish? I think that team will be a good team next year. I really like Trae Young. I think he has been the 5th best point guard this year.
I'm not upset with that pick. I'm not upset with that pick at all.
No, I mean, you could probably argue that, hey, he's not winning games, but I mean, in my opinion, that's not his fault. I don't think it's his fault at all. He's not on a good team at all. He doesn't have the teammates around him.
Exactly.
When at the end of the year here, when they had teammates, they were winning games. Once he got John Collins back, they were winning games there. So
they looked like a playoff team before John Collins got suspended. They truly looked like a playoff team.
The 25, was it 25? Maybe 40 games, somewhere in between there that he missed, really killed their season. So watch out for the Hawks next year.
Not mad at that at all. Not mad at that pick at all.
All right, so the next I have maybe a little bias here, but I got to go with Ben Simmons. I think he's just a good point guard. In my opinion, I really value the true point guard. I think a guy that can shoot, pass. I just like a guy that can do a little bit of everything, especially play defense. I love a point guard that can defend and Ben Simmons certainly plays very good defense. He's in the Defensive Player of the Year conversation. His jumper still needs some work, but his the way he passes is so good. He's got very underrated handles, especially for a guy his size. He looks great running up and down the court. It's just natural for him at his size. It's spectacular to see. I really like him. I think he's been the fourth best point guard this year. Then at 3, I have a little surprise here, but I mean, he's not shooting the ball well from 3, but he's scoring efficient everywhere else and adding a lot of other stats here. I got Russell Westbrook. I think he has been the 3rd best point guard this year, putting up 28 points, shooting 48% from the field, get 8 rebounds, 7 assists. He's got almost 2 steals on the defensive end, and he has 0.3 blocks. He's been very productive. I thought his stats would actually go down because, he's playing with James Harden. But actually, all his stats have gone up, basically, other than his assist numbers. But his scoring has actually gone up. I mean, he's playing better this year than he did last year. He's a very good basketball player. He brings it all. He gives 122% every time he steps out on the court.
Adios.
He gives it his all. He is a very good player, and I have him as my 3rd best point guard this season. Number 2, this is tough because we all know how good Steph Curry is. Steph Curry is a very good player and a fantastic shooter, and he's very talented. But I have him as my 2nd best point guard because this year he only played 5 games. He didn't play a lot, and he still put up 20 points, but he shot miserably 24% from 3 when he played. He is a extremely talented point guard, and I really like his game. He's one of the best shooters ever. I think he's more of a guard than a point guard, but that's another debate. I really like his game, and I think you got to put him at 2, even though he only played 5 games this year. That's the only reason I don't have him at 1, actually. Number 1, I have to give it to Damian Lillard. Damian Lillard is a baller. I love Damian Lillard. He is one of my favorite players in basketball right now. 29 points, 4 rebounds, 7 assists, shooting 40% from 3, 45% from the field, giving a steal on the defensive end, 0.4 blocks. He does it all. He's clutch. He can hit the game-winning shot. He's got the handles, the passing, the shooting, finishing, mid-range game. Dame has it all. In my opinion, he can do everything, and that's why he's the best point guard in the league right now.
I'm not super upset with that list. I hate the Russell Westbrook pick. I think the Russell Westbrook pick is awful.
He's a very good point guard.
No. He's
very good.
He's a stat patter, but that's a whole other discussion.
He's a stat patter, but not this season. He hasn't been.
Yes, he has. Yes, he
I
has.
guess you haven't been watching Rockets because this year he hasn't been.
Dude, what do you mean? Of course I've been watching the Rockets. They were on every night.
He isn't. I have been a Russell Westbrook hater most of my time. I have not really liked his game, but the way he's adapted to play with a guy who needs the ball more than him has been pretty spectacular for a guy. I mean, think about it. He's a guy that had one of the highest usage rates in basketball, and the way he's been able to adapt his game to fit around a guy that also has a high usage rate is pretty impressive. You can't deny that. That's been at least impressive to watch.
No, I mean, obviously,
yes, he did stat pad last year. When you look at it, his numbers are down. He's averaging 3 less rebounds, 2 less assists. His numbers are down, obviously, because he's not stat padding there, and he's playing a couple less minutes here. But I mean, he's still a good player in my opinion.
I just don't have him as a top 5 mainly because of the playoffs. Just because I don't think the Rockets, as I said in our last topic, I really don't think the Rockets are going to do well in the playoffs. So I can't have Russell Westbrook there if he's just going to choke in the playoffs, which he usually does. He did that in OKC. I think he'll do that this year. So I wanted to get into my list. It's honestly, kind of similar. There's some things I did change, but at number 5, I got to give it to my guy CP3. Got to give it to Chris Paul here. Look, I mean, if you want a true point guard, you look no further than Chris Paul.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, just an amazing passer, playmaker. And I absolutely love how he exceeded expectations in OKC. He took that young squad, and just absolutely dominated. They're the 6th seed in the West, or some 5th, 6th. I don't know the standings off the top of my head, but I got to give to CP3 at number 5. At number 4, Ben Simmons is just like you. pretty much for the same reasons. Amazing playmaker, improved his defense. I just like you. I have a thing for true point guards, team point guards that are good playmakers, are good, good at passing, just good at that. So I got to give it to Ben Simmons. At number 3, I hate the Celtics, but I got to give it to Kemba Walker. I think he's done a tremendous job. I think he's done a great job at leading this team. I think he's done a good job at, dishing it to Jason Tatum and dishing it to Jaylen Brown. I think so. I got to give it to Kemba Walker. He can also score pretty good too. He's a good shooter.
Talking about a stat pattern.
What are you talking about?
Have you looked at his stats? Everything is down this year. You want a true stat pattern?
Because he's got Jason Tatum and he's got he's on a completely
he has real teammates.
Of course, his stats are. He played for the Charlotte Hornets. Of course, his stats are going to be down. No, those were empty stats in Charlotte.
Exactly. That's a true stat pattern.
Well, who doesn't put up those stat pad when you're on a team like that? I mean, like
personally, I don't think a guy that's only averaging 21 points with 5 assists, I don't think that's good numbers. Like, I'll take a guy, but every guy I mentioned is averaging better numbers than that, other than Ben Simmons. But
stats aren't everything. But you always bring up these stats, and they're not everything. If you actually watch Kemba Walker, you actually watch these players, no matter what their stats are, you'll see that they're doing pretty well. So I got to give it to Kemba Walker here.
You could have thrown any point guard. There no look when Kyrie. Look how the Celtics played when Kyrie was hurt. They played just as good. They were just as talented in there.
Right, but so then you take him out and you put Kemba Walker in there, and
they're playing the same as they did when Kyrie wasn't there. They're all putting up basically the same numbers. It's not that big of a difference. I think it's more of a system that he's in that's right now. I think Kemba's a good player, but he is not a top 5 point guard right now. Not in today's league. Today's league is a very point guard dominant league, and I don't think he is a top 5 point guard on a good team.
I got to give it to him. I got to give it to him. I think they're doing better without Kyrie. When you switch Kemba in there, I think they're doing a much more tremendous job, and that hurts me to say because I hate the Celtics. But I got to give it to Kemba
Smart
Walker.
Was their point guard. I think they'd be almost in the same exact spot.
I disagree.
I think they would because they were good in the playoffs, and they still didn't have Kyrie.
I disagree because every team rather needs a leader. Every team needs like a veteran guy like a Kemba Walker to lead a young squad.
I see where you're coming from with that, and I think that's true. But I think Tatum has kind of emerged as more as that leader because Kemba is brand new to that team. I think the clear leader of that team was Al Horford. And there's no doubt Al Horford was the heart and soul of that team, and then he left. And I think now it's a split between Tatum and Kemba. Kemba has more of the experience, but Tatum has more of the trust of the players that were already there because he already had built connections with them for a longer time than Kemba has. So I think it's more of Kemba definitely has a lot to do with that leadership, but I think one of the nice things about Jason Tatum is he has taken up that like leadership role. Like he's been hitting some clutch shots at the end of games there for him. I mean, Kemba's a clutch player too, but I mean, Tatum has been taking some of those shots as well at the end of the game. So I think Tatum and Kemba have to both take credit for that.
Right, but I got to give Kemba the edge on being a leader just because he has seniority. Seniority, that's the word I was looking for.
He has more experience. I'm not going to discredit for that. That's true. It's not bad. That's not a bad opinion. I mean, I don't disagree with that.
So number 3, I got Kemba. Number 2, I got to go with Dame Dollar. He's one of my favorite players. I absolutely love Damian Lillard. What hasn't been said that's been said already? Damian Lillard at number 2. Number 1, look, I know he only played 5 games. I know that. I totally get it. But if we're going based off of complete skill, Steph Curry is still the best point guard in the league. And there's nothing else. The shooting, the playmaking, the defense, he's amazing. I got to give it to Steph Curry. And I think Steph Curry. Look at Curry, man. Yeah. Such an inspiration.
Yeah. I mean, I don't hate that list. I mean, the only reason I have Dame ahead of him on my list is because Dame played more this year. That's the only reason. Because I think when it comes to point guards, it's tough because some guys do play point guard, but they're not actually point guards. But when it comes to point guard, I think it's Steph and Dame up here, and then I'd really have everyone else down here. Like Steph and Dame are definitely the top two, and then everyone else is down here. So
Right, and that's kind of like, with the best small forwards in the league. You have or
hmm
the best players in the league rather. You have Giannis, Kawhi, and LeBron. No
hmm
matter what order you like, I've said this before. No matter what order you put them in, that's the correct three. Yeah,
hmm
you could say Kawhi, Giannis, LeBron, Giannis, Kawhi. Whatever order you put them in, it's fine by me. I'll probably agree with you. It's the same thing with this. Curry, you have Curry and Damian Lillard, and then everybody else.
So, and like you said with small forwards, it's the same thing. Like when KD's healthy, it's KD, LeBron, Kawhi, top three, and then everybody else is down here. Like there's
Exactly.
no, it's those three, and then everyone else. It's kind of just they're on their own tier. It's just how sports works. There's always
Exactly.
the elite at their position, and then everyone. There's still good players, but there's just those few that are elite, and Steph and Dame are the two elite point guards.
Mm-hmm. And if we were going like off of like out of position players that like play the point guard, probably I'd have like LeBron and Luka up here, but that we're not going to do that.
hmm Yeah.
So let us know what you think. What do you think of our list? Do you love it? Do you hate it? Is it terrible? Is it amazing? Is David the smartest person in the world when it comes to the NBA? Probably.
No.
I think let us know what you think. Speaking of Damian Lillard, we just got news about him this week, all about the league returning. He said that let's say the league returned and he didn't have a shot to make the playoffs, then Damian Lillard would not play. I want to know what you think, Justin. I want to know, from one Damian Lillard fan to another, what do you think about Damian Lillard sitting out if he doesn't have a shot to make the playoffs?
I think that's stupid. And I love Damian Lillard, but he needs to stop being a crybaby and get out there and play. He signed a contract saying he would play. He's not John Wall or Kevin Durant coming off of injuries. He's healthy. There is no reason for him not to be out there playing. He signed a contract to commit to the team. He should be there. He said, I'll travel with the team to go down there, but I'm not going to play. Why would you travel there and jeopardize your health and your family's health? What's the point of traveling then? If you're not going to go at all, stay home. If you go, you better be playing because there's no point in going if you're not playing.
I mean, I disagree. I mean, like, think about it. What's the reason you play this game? What's the reason you play?
For the love of the game.
For the love of the game, but what's another reason?
Money.
To win a championship.
Yeah.
And if you don't have a shot to win a championship, why would you want to play? Why would you want to?
In his prime right now.
Well, it's
he
kind of
should
like
love the game enough to play.
What I kind of think about this is, when it's like the end of the season and like that your team's going to make the playoffs, so you put in all the bench warmers and all the G League guys in the last couple games in the season so you can rest your starters. I think that's what you should do with Damian Lillard. Not only does he have rest, but you don't risk him being injured. So let's say he plays in these pointless games and he gets injured. I think it'd be smart for him to sit out rather than get hurt in a pointless game.
Even if he does get injured, unless it's a torn ACL, torn Achilles, like a major injury, if it's a sprained ankle, okay, sure, you don't have to play the rest of the games. You sit out and we'll wait till the next season. We don't know when next season will start, and we don't even know. These games might not be useless for him. What's he, 4 or 5 games out? He could still have a chance to make it. He signed a contract to this team to play games. He's being paid to play games. He is not currently injured, so there's no reason for him to be sitting out. If he doesn't play, in my opinion, he shouldn't get the money because he's just sitting out.
So what do you think about like Kawhi's load management? Are you fine with that, or do you have a problem with that?
I'm fine with that because
but
why? Because that's mid-season. He's resting his body for the playoffs. In this case, it's a different situation because Damian Lillard signed a contract to play. Kawhi doesn't sit out. What he did in San Antonio, I did not like, but what he's doing now is smart. He's resting mid-season every couple games to give his body rest for the playoffs. Damian Lillard's not in that situation. Damian Lillard signed a contract to play basketball right now. Why would he sit out?
I get that, but it's only a couple games, and like I said,
we don't know what it is.
Here's the thing: if the league gives him the opportunity where the Trailblazers can make the playoffs, I agree. I think 100% he should play, and he probably will.
Knowing Dame, he will play.
Knowing Dame, he has that. He's got that Mamba mentality.
Mm-hmm.
Where he just wants to win at all costs. So, if he has that, if he has the opportunity to make the playoffs, I think obviously he should play, and I'm sure he agrees with that too. But if you have a couple games where you're not going to make the playoffs, why would you want to risk your career? Like you never know what could happen. You could have a career-ending torn ACL injury. So
That makes sense. Like I understand that, but especially a guy like Damian Lillard, though, he's a big figure. He's made his money. He's only in the prime of his career here. Like this is not a. It's not a good look for like. See, Joe Ingles came out and said he's not going to play because he doesn't want to harm himself or the family, and that makes sense. A aging guy like that, he doesn't need to put his body on the line like that. This is a guy in his prime we're talking about here. Damian Lillard, a stud. Why is he not, it just doesn't make sense why he's not playing. Why would he sit out like this when if he doesn't do that, he shouldn't get his money then because he signed a contract to play right now. Like
yeah,
there should be no reason for him not to be playing. If he was hurt and nursing an injury, that is a totally different thing. But he should be healthy, right? There's no reason if he got hurt, that's something different. But if he is healthy, he should be playing, even if it is if it's useless. I don't think teams will be there. Like I don't think they would bring a team that's not going to be in. If they aren't in contention, they should. Every team that travels there should have a shot to play. I don't think they would bring a team that's eliminated from the playoffs there.
yeah. I mean, if there are the useless games, I'm fine with him sitting out. But this is all like, it's all like, you don't know what he should do because you don't know how the season is going to go. You don't know how they're going to continue the season.
It's all hypothetical.
Yeah, it is whole hypothetical, and we just don't know. We don't have any clear answers. We know maybe they're going to play in Disneyland. Maybe they're going to have a 1-16 bracket. Maybe these are all what ifs, and maybe this will happen, maybe this won't. So we don't know. So I think it really depends on what Damian Lillard, what happens with the Blazers and what happens with the league, who like what they do. You know what I mean? Like
yeah, it depends on their ruling.
Exactly.
What they decide on.
But again, let us know what you think about Damian Lillard. We want to know. So yeah, guys, that's going to wrap up our 7th episode. We appreciate you guys tuning in. Thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure to follow us on Instagram. We'll put the link in the description. Check out B-Ball Empire. Put that in the description as well. And thank you guys for watching. Goodbye.